The tale of King Umar al-Nun and his two remarkable sons, Sharkan and Du al-Makan. Prince Sharkan is the son and heir of the mighty king of East and West, with whatsoever regions lay interspecced between them. Omar bin al-Nu'um, the latter, has 4 wives and 360 concubines, one of whom, a Greek named Sophia, becomes pregnant and bears him a daughter and a son called respectively Nuzhat al-Zaman and Zaw al-Makan. Sharkan has intended to have the child killed if it were a male. One day, an ambassador came from the king of Rome, lord of King Arphidun, to ask Omar's assistance in a war he was waging with another Christian king to recover some jewels. Omar agrees and appoints Sharkan and his wazir Dandan to command his forces. A few weeks' travel from Baghdad, Sharkan goes out to explore by himself one day and observes a group of women having a wrestling match in a Christian monastery. Sharkan laughs as the strongest and fairest of them all defeats an old woman named Zat al-Dawahi, the queen of calamities. Thus revealing his presence, the damsel challenged him to wrestle and defeats him 3 times. Because he was confounded by her beauty and loveliness, she invites him home with her and revealed that she is Abriza, the daughter of Avridun's opponent King Hardub of Rome. The two are interrupted by some Christian soldiers sent by Zad al-Dawahi, and when she refuses to surrender her guest to them, Sharkan and she slaughter them in the battle. They agree to flee together, and the two plunge their throat. She reveals to Sharkan that the war is really about the fact that King Hardub sent Afidun's daughter, Sophia, as tribute to King Omar, without knowing who she was, and after recovering her from some pirates. The story about the jewel was a fabrication. Sharkan rejoins his army, leaving Abriza to meet him at Baghdad. The Christian army soon overtakes the retreating Islamic host, and in the subsequent battle one Frankish cavalier does particularly well. Sharkan challenges the knight to a single combat, only to find that it is in fact Abriza who now rejoins him. On his return to Baghdad, Sharkan discovered that he has a brother, which pushed him in a silk. His father, King Omar, however, falls in love with Abriza and rapes her while she is being drugged. She becomes pregnant and looks for an opportunity to return to her people. A black slave whom she enlists to help her in her flight attacks her while she is giving birth, and she dies because of the wound. The king Hardub discovers the body and confers with his mother Zat al-Dawahi over a suitable plan of revenge. Meanwhile, in Baghdad, Sharkan's jealousy grows to the point where he is sent away to take commands as viceroy of Damascus. Omar's other 2 children, who are now 14 years old, become very pious and accomplished and decided to steal away together incognito to perform the pilgrimage to Mecca. And then they do so, but on the way back, Zaw al-Makan falls ill in Jerusalem, and his sisters spends all day looking after him. One day she goes out begging and does not return. After various tribulation, he is rescued from the rubbish heap by a bat soaker, who nurses him back to health. Nuzhat al-Zaman, on the other hand, is captured by an old Badawi, who whips and mistreat her and sell her as a slave in Damascus. She is brought by the Sultan Sharkan, who takes her as his queen. She becomes pregnant by him before he discovered their common parentage, upon which he rapidly marries her off to his chief chamberlain to cover up the disgrace. They name their daughter Kuzia Fakan. Meanwhile, in Baghdad, the old woman Zat al-Dawahi gets her planned revenge on Omar. She has had 5 damsels trained in all arts and science, befitting mortals to know, and bring him to his as a tribute. He is enchanted by their learning, but is poisoned by them. While off guard, they flee with Sophia and the king of Constantinople's daughter. Nuzhat al-Zaman has been reunited with her brother Zau al-Makan on her way back to Baghdad. And when they hear of their father's death from the Wazir Dandan, it is agreed that Zau al-Makan should succeed him. He accordingly summoned his brother Sharkan to take part in a holy war to avenge their father. And Dabat agrees. The Christian kings Hardub and Afridun conclude a truce at his news, and the battle is on. The Muslims, after much detailed fighting, defeat the Christian host, but Zat al-Dawahi devises another winning plan. She disguises herself as a Christian hermit and is admitted to the Muslim camp. She avenged the leaders of the army into an ambush with a false tale and betrayed Zau al-Makan, Sharkan, and Dandan into captivity. They escape, however, and rejoin their army, succeed in chasing the Christians to the gate of Constantinople. She managed to convince them to all accept Dandan of her zeal in the cause, however, and continues to move between the two armies. After another large battle, it is agreed that a single combat between Sharkan and King Afridun should decide the conflict. Sharkan is wounded hardly, and Zat al-Dawahi, who pretend to tend him, cuts his throat when they are alone. Meanwhile, during the next fighting, Zau al-Makan has slain King Hardub. On hearing of the loss of his brother, he falls into gloom. Received by the news that his wife has borne him a son called Kanmakan, and by a series of tales told by Dandan. The siege of Constantinople lasts 4 years, but at last the Muslims are forced to retreat. Zau al-Makan falls ill and has the 12-year-old Kanmakan appointed as his successor, with his sister's husband, the Chamberlain, as regent. He then dies. The Chamberlain over time becomes confirmed as the Sultan's son, and therefore reluctant to allow his wife's daughter to marry the now orphan and penniless Kanmakan. The latter grows to the age of 17 and leaves home, lovesick and despairing. Meanwhile, the Wazir Dandan has led a revolt in Kanmakan's favor, and the Sultan, in panic, invites him to come back intending to have killed him. After various attempts, which are all failed, Kanmakan leaves the city with his aunt Nuzhan al-Zaman and cousin Kuzia Fakan and rejoins Dandan. Their army is however ambushed by the Greek king Rumzan, who is about to have them executed when his nurse reveals to him that these people are his close relatives. He is moved by the tale and releases them. And on their triumph entry into Baghdad, Sasan is forced to do homage to them and Kanmakan is confirmed as king. The old woman Zat al-Dawahi is crucified for her crimes. The Badawi who enslaved Nuzhat al-Zaman found and beheaded.